any action, any action, any action, any action, any action.
Sportscast. I'm your producer Martin, joined by your local Las Vegas handicappers, Effie.
What is up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to Any Action Sportscast. We're here to break down UFC Vegas 47, Strickland versus Hermansson. It's Effie and my producer Martin on the ones and twos.
What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the number one sportscast in the world. Effie, how's it going?
Dude, it's going well, man. After two events, our podcast, our sportscast is up 4.63 units, still in profit, 1-0 on our lock of the nights, and we're looking to keep it going. It's a gambling show where we gamble on all things MMA. If you're new to the channel, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment. Tell us what you think about the show. What you think about our picks at the end. Let us know if you think you're fading us or if you're taking, if you're riding with us, I have to say. But with that, man, I go ahead and start breaking down the card. Off the top of the card, headlining the card, we have Sean Strickland versus Jack Hermansson. Now, currently the line says Sean Strickland minus 210, Hermansson comeback at plus 175. Now, Sean Strickland's on a 5-5 win streak with some pretty good wins. Brendan Allen, in my opinion, is a pretty good win, and Uriah Hall, what he did to him was, thorough. Quality wins for sure. Jack Hermansson's 3-2 in his last 5 fights, with quality wins over Kevin Gastelum and Edmund Shabazian. Now, in my opinion, Martin, I think Edmund Shabazian not rushed, I should say. Well, he has been rushed, but is a tad bit overrated. He had that switch to AKA, but didn't play out. Good win for Hermansson, and the way he did Gastelum, the way he subbed him so early in the fight was pretty insane. I had money on Gastelum that night actually, but I had money on Hermansson when he beat Shabazian, so that was nice. It just seems that Hermansson can't really get past the top tier of the division, and I'm interested to see how this fight plays out. People think, oh, it's a striker versus grappler, but I think that's kind of selling Sean Strickland short here. I think his grappling is, pretty good. He's never been submitted ever in his pro career. And I think that's, worth something. When you have you have what, 27 fights, man, you've never got submitted. That's pretty good. And so, but I will say Jack Hermansson does want this fight on the ground. He wants this fight on the ground. He does not want to get into a striking type of fight with Sean Strickland. Absolutely no way. And so you think he has to, shoot takedowns, get against cage, get in the clinch, somehow get this fight on the ground. The thing is, for some reason, no one shoots takedowns on Sean Strickland. In the last 5 years, he's faced one takedown attempt. And now, to me, that's just so, not like a red flag, but that's just so bizarre and almost like an outlier. Like, that's kind of random. Like, how is that possible? Why is no one shooting takedowns on this guy? And actually, a foreshadowing to the co-main event. There's a fighter that has a similar scenario there. But to me, I think Sean Strickland has enough takedown defense and, overall ground game to not get submitted and to last in this fight to where I like the over. We have action on this fight. We have the over 2.5 rounds minus 165. Oh, and I will say, I forgot to mention, Jack Hermansson's coming off wrestling Hamzat Chimaev in like a offhand pickup wrestling match. That was pretty cool. It was actually a pretty dope wrestling match, but Hamzat won. Next on the co-main event, which I think should not be the co-main event. The fight next should be the co-main event. We have Puna Sorriano at 8-1 fighting Nick Maximov at 7-0. Nick Maximov made his debut on the Ortega Volkanovski pay-per-view, and he won. He had a good win over Cody Brundage, I think his name is. And then Puna, Vegas guy, a Hawaiian guy, but fighting out of Vegas, he's a favorite here. Minus 200, Nick at plus 165. Another quote-unquote striker versus grappler type fight here. But the thing is, 16 pro fights between both these guys and only one loss. There's sort of, quote-unquote prospects here, and the UFC are really giving Maximov a push here. They're giving him the co-main event, man, and I think that's a little surprising here. I thought his debut was good, but I didn't think it warranted a co-main in the second fight. And the one thing, it always gets brought up with him, Martin, he's a part of the Nick Diaz army, the Diaz army. He's from Stockton. He's in that crew. He's in that gym, and he has legit ground game. He's a good wrestler and good BJJ. He can put guys in triangles from top. That's pretty rare. But Puna has power in his hands. He can crack. Puna has that Hawaiian, that touch, and he also has a good chin. But similar to Sean Strickland, Puna Sorriano has 4 UFC fights. He has faced one takedown attempt. And then that's another thing. It's like, is his takedown defense good, or has he just not had to prove it? But I do think on his amateur scene and in pre-UFC, he was a wrestling state champion in Hawaii. And so right there and there, I think, that's pretty impressive. And I feel good that, at his base, we haven't seen his wrestling base tested, but I have confidence that he has that in his back pocket. And so no action on this fight. I couldn't find my, couldn't really figure out which way I wanted to go, but I ended up passing on this fight. If I were to give a lean, I'd give Puna via KO. I'm sure that's plus money. You take a minus 210 down to probably plus money. And if you can catch that chin early, he's he's live early for a knockout. And I will say, I forgot to mention, his gas tank might be a little suspect against Brendan Allen, who was a pick'em fight. He lost the first round and then lost the second and third after gassing pretty obviously, like pretty bad. And that's never good. You never want to bet on a fighter that has gas tank issues or you're not too sure on his gas tank. But like I said, pass on this fight, Martin. But that brings us to the fight of the night to me, man. I've been waiting to talk about this fight since it got announced. We have Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Carlston Harris. Shavkat coming in at 14-0, Carlston Harris at 17-4. The line currently sits Shavkat minus 225, Carlston Harris plus 190. Where do I begin, bro? So Shavkat is... Oh, first of all, we have a rule on this podcast, on the show, on the Sportscast. Any guy that walks to the cage, Martin, with a dead animal on his head, a funny-looking hat, bet on him right then and there. Get to your phone and hurry up before they start the fight. I'm sure that bet's still live, and bet on that person. All right? Habib, Fiziev, Rakhmonov, Umar. These guys, I won't say never lose, but dude, these guys are killers. Like, okay, you have a dead animal on his head, I'm fucked. That's what I would think if I saw a guy walking up to this cage. And that's Shavkat. Not only does he have a dope furry hat, baller hat, he has a pet eagle, Martin. And that eagle killed the animal that he's wearing on his head.
Now, does this rule apply in public? Like if you're in a restaurant and you see someone with an animal hat, do we leave them alone also?
I would say so.
Like, that guy's a killer, buddy. If he has a raccoon on his head, I'm gonna leave him alone.
Dude, if he has any sort of varmint, fox, raccoon, anything like that, especially wolf, like, no, I'll go ahead and pass. I'm good, dude. But yeah, guys, no skill. Back to the fight, the actual fight. We might have the two best welterweights that are not ranked in the UFC fighting right now. Shavkat Rakhmonov is 14-0 with a 100% finish rate. He has 7 KOs and 7 subs. And
in the UFC or just MMA career?
MMA career. So both these guys are 2-0 in the UFC. This will be the third fight for both guys inside the UFC. But they're both really good, man. A lot of people are, sort of saying Shavkat's going to walk through this guy, Carlston Harris. But Carlston Harris is good. If you watch tape on this guy, he's really unorthodox in his striking. And Shavkat is the better technical striker, I would say. But this guy throws like from weird angles. He's almost like a little Tony Ferguson. No, I shouldn't say little because he's bigger, but he reminds me of Tony Ferguson. Yeah, and he has sick Darce chokes. He has sick anacondas. Dude, he has good submissions. I will say this, though. Out of both Carlston Harris's wins, neither guy's in the UFC still. And on the other hand, the UFC gave Shavkat Rakhmonov for his debut Cowboy Oliveira, the Brazilian veteran, and he finished him. And to me, that tells me the UFC knows off the bat they want to test him. He has experience in M1. He's fought all over the world. This guy would have a ton of hype, Martin, if it wasn't for Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat Chimaev, I don't say stole, but like is taking a lot of shine off like other people, and this is one of them. I'm a huge Shavkat fan. I'm real high on this guy, if you can't tell, and he is our lock of the night. He's the lock of the night, man. Shavkat Rakhmonov minus 225, 5-unit play. Now, I gotta be honest with you. What are the paths to victory for Carlston? Is he going to outstrike him? Is he going to clip him? Is he going to submit Shavkat? Well, Shavkat has shown he's not untakedownable. He can get taken down, but he gets up. He's perfectly fine getting up. And I do think that this, not camp switch, but the time spent at Sanford MMA with Coach Henry Hooft is going to pay off. I think that Carlston is, a great fighter and a well-rounded fighter. I just think it's Shavkat's time. And like I said, both his wins aren't in the UFC anymore. And I'm just feeling it, dude. I actually lean the over too. I think we added that pre-show before the show started. We go ahead and hit the over. I think it was 1.5 rounds because these guys are straight finishers. I forgot to mention Carlston Harris also has a 100% finish rate. or no, sorry, he has 6 subs and 6 KOs, so he's well-rounded, I should say. He has like the even on both sides, and so that's pretty impressive to me. When a fighter can show that he can do both, you know, that's something you want to see for sure. But I think it's Shavkat's time, and it's time for Kazakhstan to stand up for sure. Shout out to my dead animal. Furry hat bet, lock it in right now. Which brings us to Sam Alvey versus Phil Hawes. Now, I don't have any action on this fight. Nothing to say about this fight other than Sam Alvey definitely, without a doubt, 100% has a Dana White sex tape in his possession. This man is 0-6 on a 6-fight losing streak and has gotten finished in half of those fights since 2018. He's 35 years old. Why is he in the UFC still?
That's crazy. I mean, they cut Kevin Lee, but they keep this guy. That's what. Why do you think so? What does he have to offer?
Martin, have you ever heard someone be described as a gatekeeper?
No.
Well, it's when they just keep guys around knowing they have no title, fight aspirations, will never get there again in that contender type conversation, and they can just give them. He's a good fight for up and coming prospects.
Oh, I know what you mean. Like he gives good spar sessions for people. You want to go to the spa? Oh, I thought you said spa.
I thought you meant to spar, like a steam in there. Oh, fucking hell, mate, fucking hell.
No, but for real, why is the UFC? This is insane. Speaking of that, to that point, I do know quite a few people that are betting on him because the line's crazy. The line, I will say that the line is like Phil Hawes is like minus 360, which I don't think he's 360 against anyone in the division. But yeah, Phil Hawes is probably going to spark him round 1, and if he doesn't, then Sam Alvey, dude, if he wins, I'll be so happy for him because then he's going to keep him in the UFC. They're not going to come off a win. This would be hilarious. And then Dana White's sex tape safe, which we never have to see. So that'd be awesome. Next, we have action on the next fight we have action on. It's not the next fight on the card, but we'll go ahead and skip to the fights that we actually do have bets on. You have Tresean Gore versus Bryan Battle. Tresean Gore is 3-0. Bryan Battle 6-1. Now, Martin, if you're sitting there thinking, like, what the hell? Like, that's not a lot of fights. Like, what's up with this? Both these guys, this was the Ultimate Fighter finale. The Brian Ortega Volkanovski season. Right. This was the finale, but Tresean got hurt, and so they had to push it back. And so this is, now is when they're fighting. The odds currently sit Tresean Gore minus 160, Bryan Battle plus 140. And it sucks. Like I said, you should follow us on Twitter at any action _. We gave this bet out minus 140. The line moved. People were betting on Tresean minus 160. I wouldn't be surprised if some money comes in on Battle at plus 140. That's some pretty some slight value, I would say. But as far as the fight goes itself, I think Tresean just has way more power. I think Bryan is probably the better mixed martial artist. I think he's better overall everywhere. But I just think Tresean has that touch. There's just some guys that just give me that, like, oh man, that guy, if he just lands a jab, you might get clipped here. And his leg kicks are real strong. He has some submission wins on the amateur scene and some knockouts. So it's not like he's not well-rounded either. But I did like what I saw at Bryan Battle. He showed. I thought he was going to lose the semifinal going to to get to this fight. And I thought he was going to lose that. I had Andre, who's actually in the UFC now. But no, he beat him. It was a good fight. Andre sort of gassed out, but Tresean Gore minus 140, 1.4 units to win 1. Official bet. Which brings us to our last bet of the night. It will actually be the first bet we have on the actual day because the way they're placed on the card. We have Hakeem Dawodu versus Mike Trizano. Now, Mike Trizano sits at 9-1. Hakeem sitting at 12-2-1, and we have money on Mean Hakeem. We bet him at minus 160. The line currently sits minus 190 on Hakeem. Another value bet for us. 1.6 units to win 1, and I'm not surprised by that line movement. I think Hakeem is the truth. I really like what I saw from him. He beat Zuba, one of Khabib's teammates, who was a good fight. He has shown before so he's coming off a loss, but his loss is to someone that I think could be champion one day, Movsar Evloev. Movsar took him down at will. He thrashed him around. But no one, Mike Trizano, I shouldn't say no one, but Mike Trizano is not that. Mike Trizano has one takedown in the UFC ever. He's not going to take him down. He's a striker. And if you want to strike with Hakeem, I think you're going to lose. And I just feel good about this bet, especially in the Apex, man. They're going to show their kickboxing in this fight. I really like minus 160. I thought there was value there. And so that's going to be our official bet. Hakeem Dawodu, minus 160. 1.6 units to win. So if you want to go ahead, Martin, if it's possible, go ahead and if it's Can we pull up the whole card that our bets?
And here are all the official picks right here on the screen for you guys.
Any action? We have Shavkat Rakhmonov minus 225, 5 units to win 1. We have Tresean Gore minus 140, 1.4 units to win 1. We have Phil Rowe minus 145, 1.45 units to win 1. My bad, I lost where I was reading. Hakeem Dawodu minus 160, 1.6 units to win 1. Then on the main event, again, we have Strickland, Jack Hermansson over 2.5 rounds. I think both these guys are real durable. Minus 165, 1.65 units to win 1. And Shavkat Rakhmonov, Carlston Harris over 1.5 rounds. This is a violence fight. Someone's getting finished in this fight, but I think it's gonna happen after the 1.5 minute round mark. Minus 135, 1.35 units to win 1.
I'm gonna go ahead and put on the lock of the night too for those guys that are here for the lock of the night. And want to write it down. There it is right there on the screen for you guys. We do appreciate you guys tuning in here. And we actually got some press here in the press room that I want to ask you some questions. So if you don't mind, we're going to send you over here to the press conference room here.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm here. Who's got the first question?
Effie over here. Effie.
Yeah, you in the back.
Effie, I got a question for you. What are your thoughts on Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano? It being the first woman fight to be headlined at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, that's sick. People have been asking for this fight, even before the whole Jake Paul involvement. Katie Taylor, obviously, one of the best in the world. Amanda Serrano, world champion fighter. And I think, I think it's going to sell well. My overall reaction was, dang, I think it actually is going to do good numbers. I think it was really cool that's going to be at Madison Square Garden. It's fucking sick. And like you said, that good question, it's going to be the first female headlining boxing fight to headline MSG. So I was happy to see that news get broke. We'll find out who's the best. I know who Ariel Helwani is rooting for, probably the Irish person, because, that's close to Conor, and where his heart's at. That's all I have to say about that. Next question.
Effie, right over here. Effie.
Wait.
Right over here.
Okay, you back there on the right.
Effie, follow-up question on the boxing one since we're on it. Ryan Garcia with some Twitter words for George Kambosos. What are your thoughts on it?
I didn't like it. I didn't like to see that because, well, first of all, Ryan Garcia, I love Ryan Garcia. I love both these guys, actually. But I didn't like how, first of all, I think Kambosos beats Ryan Garcia. But I didn't like how when Kambosos, replied to his initial call out or whatever, he said something along the lines of like, you're a good kid, but this is like different. I'm going for better fighters. We fight better fighters. Pretty much like build up. You have to earn this fight. And then Ryan was like, yeah, but I have way more clout than you. I have way more followers than you and IG, like this and that. And to me, it's like, well, bro, like, so? Like, come on, look, that's kind of like some clown shit. Like, Kambosos would smoke him, bro. Kambosos would smoke Ryan Garcia. And dude, I love Ryan Garcia. When he dropped Luke Campbell with that body shot, I was fucking like, damn, that was awesome. I was super happy to see that. I was sick. Big fan. Shout out to Vegas. But I think Kambosos wins that fight, and I didn't like how Ryan resorted to like claiming he had more followers. That's kind of weak to me. Next question.
Effie, right over here. Effie, right over here.
Yeah, you down the front right there?
I got a question for you. UFC 269's the number just came out. They sold just a little over 500 pay-per-view buys. I'm sorry. What are your thoughts on that?
Not surprised. I'm not surprised. It's hard to sell pay-per-views. A lot of streaming people these days. I know I don't stream any fights. I buy all my fights that I watch, but it's hard, man. In the UFC, I'll ask you, reporter. In the UFC, how many people do you think would sell 1 million pay-per-views?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I bet you're not sure, because it's not a lot. It's only Conor McGregor, John Jones, Khabib, and 2 of those guys don't even fight anymore. 3 of those guys, none of those guys are fighting for the UFC. Conor has one leg. John Jones has gotten a phantom USADA suspension for 2 years, and no one told anyone about, and that's why he can't fight. And then Khabib retired. But even when John Jones fought DC, I think they either didn't get 1 million or they barely clipped 1 million. And so that's a huge fight. A heavyweight title fight like that, I'm not surprised that Dustin and Charles didn't win headline a fight that got 500,000 pay-per-view fights. I actually think that's good. I actually think that's some pretty good numbers. Next question.
Effie over here. Effie, right here in the back.
Yeah, you.
Effie, Henry Cejudo. He has re-entered the USADA testing pool. What are your thoughts on that? What do you think his intentions are?
Henry Cejudo is going for the 145 title. He's going after Volkanovski. He saw Max Holloway got hurt, and he knows now is his chance. He's like, oh, I gotta strike. His fat ass is gonna get in the gym. He's putting the triple C and thick boy. And my guy is fat. He looks like a little wheelbarrow with arms. He looks like he's about to fight John Jones in heavyweight. But no, I'm happy. That's pretty cool. Was it 2 years off? And then, come back. I wonder what they're gonna do with him. I wonder if they're gonna give him title fight or a contender fight right off the bat. He has a chance to be the first ever three weight class champion, man. That is worth something. I know he's super cringe and super annoying, but that's gonna be a pretty cool opportunity to see him go for if that happens. But if it does, I think Volkanovski beats the fuck out of him, and it's gonna be awesome. Next question.
I think that's enough questions for today. Thank you guys for the press conference. Join us next time. If you guys have any questions you want to submit, go ahead and comment down below, and we'll answer them on the next press conference. That seems to be the end of the show. We're going to go ahead and sum it up here. We do appreciate you guys for stopping by. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure you guys subscribe. We're trying to grow this channel. If you got anything to say before we go.
Nah, man, let's go. Shavkat Rakhmonov, lock of the night. Never lost a single one. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, AnyAction_. We're plus 4.63 units on the year. We're about to be on an 8-week streak of 8 straight UFC events. Make sure you follow us, man. Super pumped for the channel to grow. Thanks.